You know the old line that when two guys fight over a girl, it's the fight they want, not the girl. That's what this week reminded of. We have a bipartisan anti-terror policy in this country. If you take the anti-terror policy of the last 4 years of the Bush administration and stack it up with the first 4 months of the Obama administration, you have the same policy with some adjustments on renditions, on secret prisons, on habeas corpus, even on
Bush said he wanted to close Guantanamo, just didn't have a plan.
And Condi Rice and people in that administration went around Capitol Hill, went to country after country saying, we want to close Gitmo, please take the prisoners. It never occurred to them they could announce the closure first and then figure out what to do with the prisoners later. It's the same policy. So, but nobody can admit that. Dick Cheney wants to pretend that Obama's changed the policy and is making us unsafe. Obama wants to pretend he changed from the dark days of the Bush administration. It's the same policy.
Whereas the truth is, according to Professor Goldsmith, worked in the Bush administration, objected successfully to many of the Bush administration policies, he says the following: the new administration has copied most of the Bush anti-terrorism program, has expanded some of it, and has narrowed only a bit. Almost all of the Obama changes have been at the level of packaging, argumentation, symbol, and rhetoric.
And White House does not like this argument at all, but when you look at keeping preventive detention, restoring tribunals, although a revised form of them, blocking the release of the photos, there are a lot of similarities.
Rendition.
You know, I think it's worth remembering that Bush changed his policy after 3 Supreme Court decisions. But I think the White House was really sending out 2 signals to different groups. They're trying to split the right, and I think they succeeded in doing that. You've got moderate conservatives like David saying, really, this is more like the Bush policy, this is a good thing. And then you've got the Cheney conservatives on the other side. And I think Cheney did Obama a huge favor by showing up, because civil libertarians and liberals have some real problems with some of these policies. The idea of unlimited detention in a constitutional republic without any due process is a real problem, and I think Obama's going to have to revisit that. He argues, and he's got a point, that there are some people who can't be tried and can't be released. Nonetheless, this is not POWs in a normal war. No one's going to come out and say of the war on terror, mission accomplished anytime soon, and I think that issue still sits out there for not just the left, as people say, but a lot of moderate civil libertarians.
The other issue that seems to unite right and left on, at least in the Senate, is the issue of bringing detainees here to the United States. The president began to make the argument on Thursday, hey, wait a second, we've got hundreds of terrorists in prisons here in the United States, in supermax prisons, yet it was a real rebuke from Senate Democrats, 90-6, and this is going to be tough to turn around.
Well, George, they were caught off guard. They didn't have a strategy to say, wait a minute, we have a detailed plan of how we're going to deal with these prisoners. By the way, who are these prisoners? What's the crime? Will they be charged? Will they not be charged? And then, of course, we had the chorus coming from the right saying, you know, especially the talk show populists saying, not in my backyard. And now they're even having Club Gitmo T-shirts. So people are, and by the way, they probably don't come in extra large, so I won't be wearing one. But people are out there now, you know, basically going back into campaign mode. And this is all about a serious plan that the president needs to come up with what to do with these prisoners.
A friend gave me a solution to this last night. California needs a bailout. None of the states want the Gitmo prisoners. California agrees to take all the prisoners, and then it gets its bailout.
Hotel Bel Air.
California is going to release prisoners.
To save money.
I want to get to California in 1 second, but let me just first ask David one more question. You point out this was a bipartisan policy. Guantanamo was a bipartisan policy. How does the president get John McCain, Lindsey Graham, other Republicans back on board to bring detainees into the United States?
Well, he's quoted them quite liberally in order to support that policy. The NIMBY issue is just a tough issue. My sense from the White House is they've written off that issue. They're going to find some way to have a Guantanamo II. It won't be called
Maybe
Guantanamo.
build a military prison here in the United States
here. But his essential problem is he's running a moderate George H.W. Bush foreign policy, and he can't admit it to his own base. He better start.